There is a threat to the continuing political dominance of the right in the United States. And that threat is the new left. People who have been pretending to be on the right for years, but who are now increasingly going mask off, anti-American, anti-decency, anti-conservatism, allied with the Democrats.
So Ben Shapiro just dropped what might be his most important analysis of 2026, exposing how Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes have essentially become leftist assets working against conservative principles. This isn't just punditry drama. It's about saving actual conservatism from saboteurs. Let's break this down.
Some of us have been predicting this for years. Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Ian Carroll. These folks are on the same side as Russia's Vladimir Putin and China's Xi Jinping. Also on the same side as Hassan Piker and Cenk Uygur and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and Bernie and AOC and Ilhan Omar. And they're not hiding it.
This isn't hyperbole. Tucker literally platformed Daryl Cooper, who called Churchill the chief villain of World War II. Candace Owens has echoed Iranian talking points about Israel. And Fuentes? He openly celebrated Hamas attacks on October 7th. These are documented positions that align perfectly with our enemy's propaganda.
If Republicans lose the 2026 elections big, they will be a big reason why. But there's something even more important happening. These folks are spearheading a movement to destroy the country, to take down what makes us powerful in the world and free at home. If they succeed, America loses, which means the world loses.
Look at what happened after October 7th. Iran's axis of resistance activated globally, while these figures undermined American support for our key Middle East ally. Meanwhile, Trump's Abraham Accords had been creating unprecedented regional stability. This isn't coincidence. It's coordinated weakening of American influence.
So what do you call a person who thinks that the Constitution is old-fashioned and it's antiquated and we should probably just dump it? Or who thinks that America is truly a nefarious evil force in the world, that America's military, human rights violators? What do you say about a person who sides with Russia and China and Iran and Venezuela, or who believes that capitalism, free markets are corrupt and that government power is probably the solution to our problems? Or a person who believes that Americans can be divided based on race into victims and victimizers? Well, if that sounds like somebody on the left, you would be correct.
This is actually brilliant political diagnostics. Run any of these figures through this test: Constitution, America's role globally, capitalism, racial division, and they fail every conservative marker. It's like a litmus test that exposes the fraudsters who've infiltrated conservative media with leftist talking points.
But that is also a lot of people on what we have termed the horseshoe right and what we are now going to call the new left. Because these people have nothing in common with traditional conservatism, and they have nearly everything in common with their new friends on the left. Their Venn diagram with the left is a circle. And this new left is working with the old left in order to destroy the Republican Party and, in turn, the country.
Horseshoe theory explains how extremes meet. Far left and far right end up in the same anti-establishment, anti-American space. Calling them new left is accurate because ideologically they've crossed over. They share more with AOC's foreign policy views than with Ronald Reagan's.
Is there at least one argument why the U.S. shouldn't be erased from the face of the earth? Dems, globalists, are utmost perverts, Epstein. GOP equals idiots, Epstein. Trump and Zionists of all kinds, maniacs, pedophiles, Epstein. Is there some other argument? If not, you are doomed. Or suggesting that Americans are stupid slaves, as he did yesterday on X. You are not the people. You are stupid slaves on Epstein's menu of cruel cannibal elites. You are eaten. Your brains are. It is why you watch Euphoria, because all of you are perverts, disgusting civilization. No reason to exist. Please die. Well, people like Alexander Dugin, believe it or not, have domestic allies in the United States, lots of them.
Alexander Dugin is Putin's chief ideologist, who literally wrote the playbook for destabilizing America through cultural division and anti-Western sentiment. His Foundations of Geopolitics is required reading in Russian military academies. Now watch how perfectly these American figures echo his exact talking points.
Many of those folks are on the traditional left, people who are happy to mirror and parrot the propaganda of China or Russia or Iran, people who range from Noam Chomsky of the old school to, say, Hassan Piker. But they have a brand new set of allies as well, people who masquerade as conservatives, but actually agree with the fundamental principles of the left. That is why we're calling them the new left.
Hassan Piker literally called America a terrorist nation and celebrated 9/11. Now he's finding common cause with people who claim to be conservatives. This is a classic pincer movement. Attack American institutions from both flanks while claiming to represent real Americans against the establishment.
They are opponents, and they ought to be treated that way. Which brings us to Tucker Carlson, who has become, by any honest assessment, an opponent of conservatism, an outsider masquerading as an insider, and destroying the character of the conservative movement in the process.
Now, lots of people have suggested over the past couple of years when I critique the new left that I'm wrong, that people like the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owenses and the Nick Fuenteses are actually on the right, and that we have to somehow unify with them. We need unity.
False unity is poison. Reagan said, trust but verify. Well, these figures failed verification years ago. Tucker's World War II revisionism alone should disqualify him from conservative circles. Credit where due, calling out fake conservatives takes real courage when they have large platforms.
It was, as Winston Churchill, a man that Tucker Carlson thinks was the actual villain of World War II, feeding the crocodile, hoping it will eat you last. See, these folks have always been willing to unify on their terms. You want them to back Republicans? Well, then Republicans have to embrace a form of anti-Americanism that differs from open leftism only in its view of who the victimized class is here in America. They will slather some rhetoric about Christianity on top of their leftism and then hope you notice that you will not notice that sleight of hand. People like Tucker Carlson, who first...
Churchill said, appeasement is feeding a crocodile, hoping it will eat you last. Tucker literally called Churchill the villain while defending Hitler's motivations. This isn't edgy contrarianism, it's historical revisionism that serves Putin's narrative about Western civilization being corrupt and evil.
The new left is now openly allying with the actual left in an attempt to destroy the GOP. Coming up, we'll get to the new world order pushed by our enemies at home and abroad first.
Look at 2022 midterms. Candidates who embrace this anti-establishment, America-skeptical messaging underperformed massively. Meanwhile, governors like DeSantis and Youngkin, who ran on actual conservative principles, won decisively. The data proves these figures are electoral poison for Republicans.
So, yesterday, Nick Fuentes, who calls himself America First, apparently America First means now being a Democrat. Here was Fuentes admitting his agenda.
I care about affordability. I care about foreign interventions. I care about the border. I'm a non-woke moderate Democrat. I think the GOP needs to be destroyed. I think the corrupt criminal government of Trump needs to be slowed down. We need to impeach the orange. It's time to put this in a peach. Trump needs to be placed inside of a crystal. He needs to be impeached. This fat orange, tiny hands needs to be impeached. And then in 28, no Vance, no Rubio. We have to burn down the whole party.
Again, points for honesty. At least Fuentes says the thing out loud. He also admits, by the way, that the only thing keeping him going is Israel. You'll notice that he is wearing a half zip for James Fishbeck, the Florida candidate for governor who is going to clock in well below 10% in the Republican primaries. We'll get to that in a little while. He says basically the only thing keeping him going at all right now is Israel, because that's the point of unity, right? That is the point where, again, the left and the new left all come together.
Fuentes claiming America first while supporting Democrats is peak doublespeak. His obsession with Israel mirrors exactly what you hear from college leftists. Same talking points, same conspiracies, same alliance with Islamic extremists. The mask isn't just slipping, it's completely off.
Candace Owens, of course, coming out and openly embracing, again, the sort of horseshoe here, the new left joining left, quote, we need to continue to fix the fracture between the left and the right. We now know what true evil is. It's us against the Epstein class and warmongers. So totally mirroring the language of Alexander Dugin. And of course, that is indistinguishable from the rhetoric of, say, Hassan Piker. Ian Carroll, who is her cutout, her mustachioed cutout, saying the same thing. Quote, both sides are tricked into caricaturizing each other. The left thinks the whole right wing is Ted Cruz. The right thinks the whole left wing is Dylan Mulvaney. In reality, the vast majority of regular Americans on both sides are regular and reasonable people. The right and left represent two halves of a whole. He can't spell the word halves, obviously. Either one taken to the extreme is destructive. Right now, we have both taken to the extreme and intentionally penduluming to keep us all at each other's throats. What we need is balance, conversation, and solidarity between the rising right and left-wing populist movements in the United States and around the world. And of course, the new left and left, they are coming together around simping for radical Islam.
Notice the identical language patterns: Epstein class, anti-war rhetoric, victimization narratives. This is textbook authoritarian messaging that collapses left-right distinctions to create chaos. Even the spelling errors reveal their intellectual bankruptcy while they pretend to offer sophisticated political analysis.
There are basically two strategies that the new left could use to take over the GOP. The first is to win the battle internally against the GOP. That requires burning down the GOP in order to take it over again. But that's not going super well because it turns out that the new left is actually really, really unpopular inside the GOP.
Republican primary voters are smarter than the grifters give them credit for. When presented with clear choices between actual conservatives and these new left infiltrators, they consistently choose real conservatism. The base hasn't been fooled. They're rejecting the saboteurs.
The answer is Vivek crushed him. Vivek won 82.2% of the vote in that Ohio primary. Casey Putsch was stuck down at less than 18%. And this seems to be mirroring the results elsewhere in the United States.
82 versus 18% isn't close. It's a landslide rejection of the Groyper approach. Vivek represents optimistic American conservatism focused on winning, while the Groypers offer nothing but grievance and defeatism. Voters clearly prefer the positive vision over the nihilistic alternative.
You can't just win outright. Drive the GOP into the ground. Blame the people who actually support the GOP for its downfall. Blame President Trump. Blame conservatism. And then try to grab the remnants of the GOP and forge them into some sort of new left coalition. That would be, by the way, when the political Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact ends, and Americans are forced then to choose between the Democratic Party left and the GOP new left. That would be the goal.
The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was when Hitler and Stalin temporarily allied to destroy Poland before turning on each other. The parallel is perfect. New left and old left unite to destroy real conservatism, then fight over the corpse. Americans would lose either way.
The battle for AI right now is the battle for the future of the country. The reason I say this is because AI is the driver of productivity. It is the greatest industrial transformation we have seen probably since the Industrial Revolution. It is greater than the information revolution, what is happening right now. And there is an ongoing battle here that has foreign implications. China is chasing AI. Do you want China running the world? If they win the AI race, they win. And that's a real thing. They're militarily dominant. They're using all of their apps. They are streaming their nonsense directly in your brain. The left and the new left seem to be totally fine with all of that. They're anti-tech. And the reason that they are anti-tech is, again, because their idea is that America is a place in which an elite class of people are victimizing everyone else with their evil technology. And the way you can tell is because they're rich.
China's already using TikTok to push anti-American propaganda to our kids while racing ahead on AI development. Meanwhile, these new left figures attack American tech companies and innovation. They're literally serving Chinese strategic interests by undermining American technological dominance.
If you want America to win, we actually need to win. We actually need to win. Right? The big debate that's happening right now over AI data centers is truly kind of stupid. Because the question is not whether we need data centers. We absolutely need data centers. The question is whether we want to undercut the AI industry utterly. Sean Regan has a good piece over at City Journal, a project to the Manhattan Institute. He says the relevant question is not how much water data centers use in total. A data center could account for a tiny share of statewide water consumption and still trigger serious local conflicts if it draws from a scarce aquifer or competes with other users for a common supply. Conversely, it could use a meaningful amount of water without much controversy if that water is acquired through existing.
Real conservatives want America to win the AI race and maintain technological supremacy. The new left wants to handicap American companies with regulations, while China advances unrestricted. It's the difference between pro-American and anti-American conservatism. Only one actually conserves American power.